Welcome to Bloom. Today we have an incredible show for you. We're going to be talking about how much of your dirty laundry is really okay to share.
Hi, I'm Paula Wallace, president of Bloom in the Dark, and this is
Ginny Priz, the single-handed serenity coach. Welcome to Bloom Today, where we talk about internal and external brokenness and how you can heal,
so that you can use the fertilizer of your past to bloom today. Welcome. So today we're talking about how much of your dirty laundry is it okay to share? And that's kind of funny for me right now because my washing machine has been broken and messed up and I have had a lot of dirty laundry and I have been having to share it with other people. I have had to take it to Ginny's house to actually get some laundry clean. I've taken it to a couple other people's houses and I've had people coming in to fix my washer and they've gotten to see my dirty laundry. But I don't think that's the kind of dirty laundry we're talking about this time, is it, Ginny?
No, not really. I think more so we're talking about what kind of dirty laundry as far as in your own life, in your emotional life, in your complaining life, in your gossip life, what is really okay to share and what is not. Because so many times we feel like there is shame surrounding something that we've done. We're not necessarily going to share that. Oh, but I could go on for hours and hours complaining about this person that was in front of me at the grocery store and everything that they did wrong today.
So we're talking about maybe it's not a good idea, especially on social media, to share other people's dirty laundry.
Absolutely.
But it's different if I'm sharing my dirty laundry to actually help somebody else understand that they're not alone in the ugliness of their life. What do you think of that?
Absolutely. Story is so important for people's healing. And it's so important to know that you're not alone, that you can heal. There is hope in healing. We've used this in each of our own ministries as well to tell stories. And so many people feel like mine's not really important. Oh gosh, I don't know if I even have anything to say. But if you've already healed from something and let God come into that, then absolutely share it. If God hasn't come into it and hasn't healed it, maybe you want to share that privately with someone that you trust. That's probably the best so that they can help guide you in how to actually heal from it. Putting that out on Facebook may not be your best choice.
Well, I know that it can affect your employability in the future.
Absolutely.
If you're just randomly putting dirty laundry out there. But I also know that one of the reasons we don't share our dirty laundry, even when we should, even when it would help other people, even when it's a testimony that can change other people's lives, is because we have shame, we have embarrassment, we have these feelings that come and bury us, and then we're not actually willing to share that brokenness that might actually let someone else know that they're not alone. Mm-hmm. And that there could be hope if you're in that place of having found healing. Mm-hmm. So how have you found hope out of somebody else's dirty laundry?
Yeah. That just sounds so funny. How have I found hope? Well, I've actually found hope through some of your dirty laundry, knowing that you have gone through different kinds of brokenness and abuse, and especially with emotional abuse in the past. That has helped me to realize exactly what has happened in my life. And so I could put the dots together and know that if he's come through that situation and you've been healed, then I can be healed as well.
Well, and I found out through somebody else who'd been through something very, very embarrassing involving their ex-husband that matched and mirrored a situation with my ex-husband. When she shared her dirty laundry with me, it gave me hope for the first time that somebody else had been through what I was going through. And if they had survived it and come out with beauty and grace afterwards because God had stepped in healing, that maybe I could come out of this similar situation with healing, with cleanliness, with clean laundry.
Yes.
Instead of just the dirty laundry, and that I would have the ability to wrap myself in Christ's righteousness instead of it just being about the dirty, ugly, broken things that were in my life.
Absolutely. And I do want to just quote, if I could, Ephesians 5:13, because this is so important for our mission and this show and what we're trying to do. But what it says is this: but everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. So by sharing those broken things and how we've healed and the dirt and the muck and the pain and the hurt and how we brought Jesus into that, he transforms it. As he transforms us as well. And instead of it just being another notch in the belt of Satan, it ends up to be this beautiful light shining out to those people who are still hurting, saying, we've found some healing. We've found something. Come and see what it is.
Right. And I found out that when I realized that shame was actually something that Satan was putting on me, to try to bury me, to try to make me hide and run away and not reach out for healing, not be willing to admit the truth of what was going on inside, not face the brokenness that was inside of me or the victimization or abuse, then he could continue to break that, because you can get blackmailed by secrets.
Absolutely.
But if you have that secret come out as public knowledge, do you know that nobody can ever blackmail you about it again?
Absolutely. They have lost their power over you.
Right. Everybody already knows. So what do you blackmail them with? There's no reason to hide it at that point. And so when I realized that looking to God gave me the opportunity to separate myself from the shame, from the embarrassment, like Psalms 31:17 says, let me not be put to shame, Lord, for I have cried out unto you. And that's where getting out of the shame starts, is crying out unto God. But let the wicked be put to shame and be silent in the realm of the dead. And that's where I found out that actually separating myself as the victim from the person who had done the harm gave me the opportunity,
physically
separating emotionally from that damage, and recognizing that I wasn't the one that needed to carry that shame.
Absolutely. Because that's what the enemy does. He comes in and he says, no, it's your fault. You're the one. Because here's how the enemy works. And he did this with Adam and Eve in the garden. What happened right after the fall? They hid. They hid from each other. They hid from God. And that's exactly what Satan wants to do in your life as well. He wants to tear you away from God, tear you away from the people around you, put you in a corner and say, there, you stay there. And don't come out of the corner, and that's where you belong, in the corner. You can't do any of God's work in that corner. You can't be a light if you are sitting in the corner hiding from the world. This is how he thinks. He wants to stop you from walking in your purpose that God absolutely has for your life. He has plans for your life. But if you can't see how that is operating and separating yourself from that shame, as Paula said, then Satan continues to have that hold over you, and he continues to stop you from working in God's kingdom. But here's what I know to be true about God and about his heart, is that God despises shame. That's the first thing. He despises shame. He's not standing in heaven saying, you should be ashamed of yourself. No. He is the one who's trying to say, I am here. I'm still here, reaching out to you. Even if you've chosen the wrong thing, I'm still here waiting to love you. Just turn around from out of your corner. Hebrews 12:2 tells us Jesus endured the cross, despising the shame. Look, there's no way that was his shame. He never sinned. What he despised was the shame that was put on him that we've endured. He endured that for us on the cross. And when he felt that, he despised it because it was something not of him. It's not of God, it's of the enemy. So he despises that it would be there. And not because it hurt, just because it's not of God's heart to be sharing. So that tells us that shame is a tool. It's a tool that the enemy uses, and it tears you away from God. The second thing is that God dispels shame. Did you know that? I love that. Psalm 34, 4-5 says, I sought the Lord. Check that. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. Wow. Okay. So here's what I hear, is that he delivered me from all my fears, and therefore my face is never covered in shame. So shame is a result of fear. It's all fear-based, and we know that there is no fear in perfect love, in God's perfect love. So again, it's there, but God is able to remove that and take that away if we seek him. We turn to him. We turn out of our corner of shame that the enemy has put us into. We turn around and we look to him and we seek him out. And he will help that shame to be dispelled from our life, from our mind, from our heart if we keep looking to him, keep chasing after him. And the Lord will show us right from wrong. But we have to repent of the things that we've done and then seek after the Lord. The third is that God replaces shame. So he doesn't just dispel it and then leave this empty, blank, black hole for you to fill in whatever you want in there. He fills that in with his perfect, endless, unconditional love. Zephaniah 3:19 says, I will rescue the lame, I will gather the exiles, I will give them praise and honor in every land where they have suffered shame. So in this verse, it's specifically saying, where you suffered shame, I'm going to give you praise and honor. Completely flipping the coin and saying, oh, too bad, you're not going to have to stay here. I'm going to actually shame the enemy by giving you praise and honor instead. I think that's amazing. He wants a strong and a healed relationship with you. No matter what's been done to you, no matter what your choices in the past have been, he wants that healing with you. He wants that close relationship with you. Heck, he came down here and he suffered day to day in this pain as Jesus, and then, of course, was sacrificed on the cross for that as well. So God despises shame, God dispels shame, and God replaces shame.
In the dark, we are working to help us understand where brokenness and victimization actually starts, being able to own that, being able to face it, and then move forward into healing with a relationship with Christ so that you know that you're not alone. Like you said, he bore our shame. He despised that shame. So we can be honest with ourselves, start being honest with safe people to get help, to reach out to counselors, to reach out to other people, to find the tools that make a difference so that we can go from being a victim to being an ex-victim, like my shirt says, where it just means I've been there, done that, and obviously got the t-shirt. So that makes me really special. But we want you to know that you're not alone and that there's hope. And we do that around the country through sharing books and sharing testimonies and handing out tools and speaking. And it's just a great way for us to let everybody know it's okay to air your dirty laundry when you're getting it out there to go into a washer and get it out clean. And then you can show people the before of victimization, the after of being an ex-victim, where the dirty laundry is always shown as it will then be clean.
And we have to recognize that our laundry is dirty and we are a victim in order to understand that we need to put it in the washer. Otherwise, we'll just be walking around in denial in our dirty, dirty laundry.
And it's a whole lot better and a lot less stinky to have clean laundry.
Yes.
It is a whole lot better to take our broken and dirty places to Christ and actually let his blood that washes and cleanses us and makes us whiter than snow, to actually have that be the most beautiful garments instead of the ugly, dirty laundry.
Absolutely. Now, with the books, you gave away 6,000 of these just last year.
We did, through prison ministries and shelters and halfway houses, recovery programs, counseling centers, and even to women in executive positions, because it's amazing when we're broken the way these stories are, all different types of brokenness and abuse. So many times we give up and decide to be a permanent victim, or we pretend we never were a victim and we try to overachieve and perform. Either way, we're not healthy and whole and really living in joy and peace and happiness that Christ has for us. So these are our stories where we're raw and real about the brokenness so that we can then share that hope and life and joy with you so you realize you're not alone and there really is hope.
Can you read from us one of the reviews in there? Because I think there's one specifically at the end that talks about validating someone who finally realizes they're a victim.
These stories are very moving and heartbreaking. They also offer the reader hope and inspiration. After finishing this book, I reflected on events in my own life, which were influenced by the grace of God. It will make you think differently of yourself, of people who need help, and I hope you will share this book with them. It's beautifully written from the heart. And that was one of our readers saying how this had impacted her in her view of her own journey.
Amazing. And I would love to read, if you wouldn't mind.
Do I get to read the ex-victim
Okay,
poem?
you can read it. I'll
Please,
let you read
please,
it.
please. So we have this poem that I actually wrote out of that place of brokenness, coming out of denial and starting to understand what it meant to own being a victim so that I could become an ex-victim. I don't want to admit I'm a victim, tainted by abuse, feeling irrational fear and shame, defensive and jaded, frigid, stoic, rude, rejecting before I get rejected. I don't want to admit I'm a victim who is too weak to get away, to fight, to stop the pain, to stand up to the bully who killed my innocence, who massacred my soul. I don't want to be the victim, making mistakes that cause more abuse, broken choices that hurt me. I end up hurting others instead of stopping the pain. I want to stop being a victim, attracting predators, accepting abuse as my due, putting myself at risk, choosing to trust the wrong ones who just pretend to protect. Jesus, help me stop being a victim. You became a victim for me. You hung naked on the cross. You bore my shame. You were bruised for my iniquities, but by your stripes, I'm healed. I'm no longer a victim, forgiven of sin, with wholeness of heart, redeemed, healed, and loved. My innocence restored, my soul saved. I am now an ex-victim. I testify of His grace. I was lost, but am found. I was shattered, but now I'm restored. I am filled with relentless love, and I'm sharing it with others like you, who are just like me. That's my ex-victim.
Wow. I love that. There's so many pieces I think that people can relate to.
It's a process.
Healing is definitely a process, that's for sure. We've all had those moments where we've had to actually own it and go through the brokenness and say, yeah, that was me. I did something wrong, or something was done to me.
No, you haven't done anything wrong, Jenny.
Well, for a lot of years, no, never, never. But for so many years, I thought that I was the cause of my abuse, that I made the wrong decision. I was this stupid idiot that made the decision to start out with. When I was in college, I became an after-school special, essentially. I was at a cast party, and for theater, I was a theater major. It was a theater world. It was exciting. I wasn't part of the show, and I was invited to the cast party. And of course, there's drinking. This is a secular college, and I was enamored by one of the cast members that had taken a shining to me, and I thought, this is so cool. I'm one of the cool people, and someone's giving me attention. And he said, I want to show you something at the computer, which was in someone's bedroom in the back of the apartment. And my spidey senses went off immediately, and I said, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm going to just stay out here with everyone else. He said, okay, well, I'm just going to go back. You should come back when you're ready. And I tried to stay in the party, but time kept passing and passing, and I knew he was hurting a little bit, so I said, I'm just going to go back there. I'm going to check on him. I'm going to make sure he's okay. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to go back and make sure he's okay. And when I went back and he said, oh, great, you're here. Let me show you on the computer. And so he had me facing the computer. And while I was paying attention to whatever it was, he turned around and locked the door. And then went ahead and pushed me down on the bed. Of course, as I've said before, I wasn't raped in this scenario, thank God. But I was held against my will for a period of time, and I was able to get away. And I did not even realize that the door was locked until someone told me later on that they actually tried to get into the room and found out it was locked, so that everyone at the party thought that this was a consensual, fun time that we were having together. And none of that was true at all. And I had to endure completely random for me, I didn't know them, strangers coming up to me and making jokes and saying, oh yeah, ha ha, you guys together, that's so funny. At the same time, I could not go out at night by myself because I was terrified of what might happen to me, knowing logically that nothing was going to happen to me. It never happened to me out on the street before, but I just knew that something might happen, so I needed someone to walk with me every step of the way in the darkness. But I thought for so long that was my fault because I made the decision to go back into that room. I was the one who became the after-school special. I was warned and warned and warned. But I still did it. It took me a long time to recognize that, maybe about eight years, a full decade, to recognize he made the choice. He made the choice to hurt me. He made the choice to put me in harm's way. It wasn't me. And it's not a happy story to tell, but it is one that I'm happy to share so that someone can understand. Guess what? It wasn't your choice that someone hurt you. No matter what choice you made, you didn't deserve someone hurting you.
Thank you for sharing that, Jenny. I know how hard it is to share that because I have my versions of that.
I'm sure.
I, at 5 years old, ended up getting stuck in a man's room, and I didn't know enough to run away. And so when he picked me up and put me on the bed and ended up brutally raping me, I didn't understand what was happening until it was too late. But I had not run away, and he told me if I screamed, he would hurt me worse. And so I couldn't scream.
Paula,
so
you have this fantastic tattoo that says you were in this hurting place.
So I can show it to you?
But you've come out into this world where you are now an ex-victim, where you don't have to stay there anymore.
Right. And so whether it's as a child or not, we get the chance to own the place that we've been. And in my case, I wanted my healing to be permanent. So I have this nice little XV, and the V is little, it's for victim. And the X is big because it's for being an ex-victim. And in fact, if you look, it makes a G because I go from being a victim to an ex-victim in God through Christ, which the X is the ichthyos for Christ, so that you can bloom. And I made this a permanent part of my life, my skin, my story, because I want to be able to share with everybody that I have owned where I've been. Mm-hmm. I have accepted the victimization, but not to stay there. I accepted it, whether it was as a child, as an adult, whether it was my fault or not. Yes. And where I can show the power of Christ that comes in to resurrect and heal and to help us bloom anyway. Mm-hmm. That's why it's bloom in the dark. That's why it's ex-victim.
Amen, sister friend. I love it. Permanent.
It was permanent. Tangible on my skin. I can touch it.
Yes. And for those of you who don't know, I actually designed the XV portion of that tattoo. I had no idea what I was designing when I designed it. I thought it was for jewelry.
Right, but it was jewelry on me. It's just permanent jewelry.
It's just permanent jewelry. I did not know. I was not complicit in the tattooing. But you have actually something else that's tangible that you use that reminds you of all of the places that God has healed you.
So I have this bracelet that I wear, and each charm on this bracelet is a testimony. It is a place in my life where God spoke life into my heart, into my world, into my perspective. It is an altar, a testimony to God's healing in my life, so that when I get discouraged or go into a tailspin, I can sit there and recount, this is what God said, this is where God healed, this is where God opened my eyes, this is where God changed my life. And I have that with me all the time. I do not take it off unless I've got to clean it or something, because it is my grounding, tangible reminder of both the brokenness and God's miraculous intervention in my life.
That's amazing. That's your Ebenezer, right?
Yes.
That's the thing out here. I raised my Ebenezer,
Yes.
and that is that's my reminder, my rock. That is the reminder that I will never forget this lesson,
Ever.
this beauty and this healing that He's brought into our life. So thank you for joining us today. We hope we've given you some hope so that you know you're not alone, and it's all right to admit you are a victim and bloom today.
Then visit Bloom Today's Facebook group for deeper conversation.